All right, welcome to the first episode of Don't Tunnel Me, bro.
Don't tunnel me, bro. He's tunneling me.
He's
Getting
tunneling.
tunnel.
Shout out to Moose Knuckle for the idea anyway.
He gets tunneled
Because
all
every
the
time I
time.
say that, I say it in his voice. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna start doing this new DBD podcast. I guess we should probably do a little background on who the fuck we are. Go ahead, Mizuma. Tell them who you are and what you've been doing.
Well, I mean, they're gonna find this out eventually, but you're looking at two brothers.
We are.
When I look, and I'm just looking at the podcast right now, sometimes I forget. Am I Mizuma 10,000 or am I Smokescreen Vids? I don't even know, man. People
It's hard
say
to
they
tell.
can't tell us apart. Yeah, I mean he's taller. That's really. I know that
Yeah.
in pictures, the tall guy is probably Smokescreen. You know, unless I'm closer to the camera. I don't know. But no, man, I'm just an Asian nerd who likes video games and high fantasy, medieval fantasy, space unicorns.
Yes.
kind of stuff.
We'll get to the space unicorns.
But no, I like video games and all sorts of other stuff. Met Smokescreen obviously through his Game of Thrones knowledge and YouTube videos and content. So that's how I know Smokescreen. And in conjunction with the Game of Thrones stuff, started playing video games together. And I just, I introduced him to Dead by Daylight.
Oh shit! Here we go. Here we go.
5 years ago, I was like, bro, this game,
yes.
I don't even know you yet because you haven't started the YouTube stuff. I was like, man, this DBD game, you gotta play it.
Well, yeah. So I have the main channel Smokescreen, but we'll throw this up on the gaming channel. And by the way, I'll chop all these up. We're going to do segments here, but yeah. So we both stream on Twitch now. Mizuma started streaming fairly recently, but yeah, I started playing this in 2016 and started streaming it off and on. I wasn't all serious about it really till the last, I don't know, a couple of years as far as a steady stream on Twitch. So I'll throw this stuff on the gaming channel and I'll cut it up into segments. But anyway, you can find us over on Twitch as well. And I think, Mizuma, you have a YouTube channel as well where you're throwing streams up and clips and stuff.
Yeah, I don't do anything fancy. I just take.
Yeah, I think you just upload the whole damn stream.
So, I pretty much do, man. I'm not going to edit stuff.
But it's like you said, though. I should have been doing this years ago. I've always just kind of the game and stuff. I've always been a gamer, but it was always just a side thing from the main channel. So I've always thrown some clips up here and there, but I never did it seriously. And now you see all these big DBD channels where I could have been maybe a pretty big channel. So anyway, we'll start. But we both love DBD, so we're going to bitch about it a lot, but we're going to talk about other things besides just the game itself. We'll talk about the community too, I think, in a lot of these cases. But I guess we'll start today. We have a new killer, and with the new killer comes 3 new killer perks, and of course a survivor with 3 survivor perks. And we'll get into all the damn stuff about perks and there being too damn many as far as the other stuff we'll get to. But we have the artiste. Still fairly new. I think people have mostly kind of sort of figured it out. I think they're still figuring some things out, obviously. So far, I've enjoyed her. I got the adept thing with her after a few games, but of course, again, we'll talk about this in the balance section, but after, I don't know, 4 or 5 games of 3 and 4Ks and kind of figuring her out, then all of a sudden your MMR is going up, and then it's hard to do. People are figuring out how to defend against her. So what you think of the artiste, the Crow Lady?
I think it's much more interesting than the Cenobite, the other recent killer added.
It's a pretty cool concept. It's kind of a mixture of, you got the mixture of ranged and melee, I guess you would say, like you do, kind of like the Huntress, but you got a little bit of, I don't know, you got a longer version of Pyramid Head's ranged attack with the crows. And I think people are starting to figure her out with the kind of the shotgun approach where you send one, from a killer perspective anyway, you send one batch of crows and then shotgun the next 2 to try to get damage from a distance. And so she's got some, it's interesting balance of map control and all that good stuff and like a combo of several killers. So it's I think it's one of the more interesting original concepts they've had.
No, I like it. I mean, it's kind of completely different direction.
Yeah, and you like you know how it is. We're playing whether you're Swift or solo queuing Survivor. You unhook somebody, and you typically, if the killer's busy, you just heal them right there. If it is a killer you want to heal against, And now you have to get away from hooks and away from gens after she hooks somebody, for example. You know that somebody's going to shoot out crows across the map, and it might be your gen. So walk away 10 meters and walk back or whatever. So people are starting to learn that too. So it's cool. It's kind of cool to see how that works every time a new killer comes out. He's OP or she's OP, and then everybody figures it out, and then all of a sudden the killer's back to basically being nerfed.
Well, you gotta the strategies and counter strategies, which is the fun stuff. Like let's assume that you can hit skill checks 95% plus of the time, and you know how to run around in circles that waste the killer time. Assume that you know that. The fun thing then, is the strategy and the counter strategy. What I like about it as a survivor against the killer, or the thing that I get the pet peeve where it's like, I'm not really camping, but I gave you guys 15 seconds to get the unhook, so I'm just going right back to the hook now. So I hate, like a nurse will do that, right? Walk away, phase back, walk away, phase back. Or not a nurse, the spirit does that, right? So she's got a built-in way of chasing you off of a hook, right? Which is to send the crows back. And if you're stupid enough to get caught healing there, you get the little swarm. But the thing is, even if she's really involved trying to hook someone else, and you're across the map significantly, you can just kind of run around with the swarm for a little bit before.
Yeah, you can. It doesn't actually stop you from doing anything. You can do gens and stuff, but at some point she will be heading that way. But she's got a way to at least give you something to do while she's involved with somebody else. So
and extra points for repelling the crows.
Yeah, that's true. So interesting little concept with the artiste, and a pretty cool little story, I guess. But of course, with her and her gameplay come 3 new perks, and that would be Grim Embrace. Oh,
also before you get into the 100% would smash.
Yes, I know. There's 100%. Something. There's
100%.
There's something vaguely attractive about her, right? It's kind of a vampire look, but the long neck thing.
But I know that in real life, she was definitely 100%.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But no, I guess we should mention too, real quick, from our perspectives with DBD, I have been a killer main forever, and recently I've been more 50-50 because we swift a lot at night. So a lot of our perspectives will be for me from the killer side being, I guess I'm a nurse main. I have been for a while, but we do play killer or survivor and group up a lot with some other friends. So Mazuma mostly plays survivor, but you play killers for dailies and stuff like that. So you're not taking killers too seriously.
In that world, I am a clown main. I mean, I'm like the only guy. The only guy who plays clown and doctor. Because I don't know, whatever. They're M1 killers. The doctor at least has some disruption there, right? You shock someone before they get to the pallet, but
he's got a little bit of anti-loop, but the clown. I mean, I like playing the clown. Don't get wrong.
It's fun, but
it's fun playing the clown. But he is one of the weakest fucking killers.
With the pinky add-on, the eerie pinky add-on, where they're exposed, you still got to hit them directly. Then you still got to chase them down and hit them. So it's like it's still a 2. It's like the Huntress, ranged attack, quick M1 attack, or vice versa. Quick M1 attack, range attack. It feels like it's quick, but it's still 2 different actions. So right. I don't think anyone's out there singing the praises of the clown as a tournament killer.
Yeah, he definitely will hopefully get some love in one of these future updates.
I don't know.
It is a fun concept, and when it came out, it was really fun to play. But once you now with the MMR, like I said, once you win a couple games, you start getting up there, and you've already lost before the game started with him.
Well, you gotta run Ruin and hope it doesn't get taken out. You gotta run Noed and hope it doesn't get taken out. That's the only thing. You got to delay the game, retard gen work, and then hope you can get some Noed action. But
that's sort of with every killer now. So her perks, Grim Embrace is the first one. Each time a survivor is hooked for the first time, you gain a token. When you reach 4 tokens, Grim Embrace activates, which the entity blocks all generators for 20 seconds. I thought this would be okay when it first played it and it came out, but it's really just a one-time thing. So I feel like it's kind of a waste because you're basically wasting a perk slot for 20 seconds of the whole entire game. Yes, it can buy you some time, but most of the time, in my experience so far anyway, is yes, maybe I'm in a chase or whatever, but the other people are still, they just basically go cleanse a totem nearby or something and walk right back to it.
Or even so, right? It's
I feel like it's pretty weak.
It's like a mid-game, shorter version of anything that interrupts your progress. Like corrupt intervention slows progress in theory. Or, if you get a haunted ground and you're like, all right, everyone hide or whatever.
Exactly.
It's like it's like a shorter version. Yeah, but at least that's 60 seconds, right?
Yeah, and this is 20, and it's like I said, it's really just I feel like it's a waste of a perk slot because it's literally for just 20 seconds. If you can't buy 20 seconds with your other perks with something else or with how you pressure the map, then there's no point anyway.
I mean, I wonder like if you could, like if it had aura reveal too. So it's like fourth hook, boom, all survivors are exposed and their auras are visible for 20 seconds. Now you can go chase someone down.
Yeah, and have a chance to get it down. Yeah, maybe if you could get a down out of it for sure, it would bring it some value. So, but there, we won't go into all these little things because there's 103 perks now or some shit like that for survivors, and what is it?
101.
We're up to 90 or 80 something with survivors. So they and now they're starting to really overlap, which we'll get into that stuff with the balance stuff. The second one is Scourge Hooks again, as came out with Pinhead. Pain Resonance, start of every trial, 4 random hooks are changed into Scourge Hooks. You see their auras in white. Anytime a survivor is hooked, the generator with the most progress explodes, instantly losing 9%, and will start to regress. Survivors repairing that generator will scream, revealing their location. This is okay. I think this actually is okay. I don't see it being a big meta perk or anything like that, but if anything that you can like get a pop goes the weasel effect while you're doing something else, I think is a good thing.
Right, but explain to me how this is fantastically different than like Dragon's Grip.
Well, I mean, it gives you it's kind of a two-pronged approach, I think, anyway. So first of all, you get information of where you need to go next after. So you're hooking somebody, and so when you complete that action, you kind of know at that point, okay, I need to go over here because that's the one that exploded. And there obviously people own that, and it's very close to being popped, whatever. So at least it gives you some kind of information. If you're not, because barbecue now, it's almost like a one-time I guess a barbecue used for each time you hook somebody, as opposed to barbecue now that gets ruined by these hex totems, these boon totems, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But again, it's okay. I wouldn't run it as I played around with it, and it's helped out some, but I can't see it becoming some big meta perk unless you're combining it with a bunch of other gen regression stuff as some crazy build. Almost as a backup to Ruin again, like a lot of things. Like people use Pop and Ruin together.
Like my clown.
Exactly, because Pop is useless until Ruin gets cleansed, and then you can start popping things. So it may be something like that. Let's see. And the third one, Hex Pentimento, you see the aura of Destroyed Totem. This is interesting because we're going to talk about the boon totems. This gives the killer now an option to do something at least. And I like how they put this number 1, and they know this. There's balance issues. So if you go see a destroyed totem, you can now rekindle the totem to a hex totem, but you can't put your own hex effects. Essentially, it does this. So 1 rekindle totem, it slows survivors' repair speed by 20%. I think that's a good thing. 2, you get 20% healing speed as well. Reduction. 3, recovery speed from being down by 20% slows. 4, reduces survivors' exit gate opening speed by 20%. And if you would somehow manage to get all 5, which I don't think you'd ever get 3 or 4, very rarely, I think that would be the case. All totems are blocked by the entity, so then they can't do anything. They can't bless anymore, whatever. At that point, you control the totems. I think this is cool in concept, but I don't think you would ever get past at least more than 2 to 3, at the very most 3. So at least the first one is, if I can at least get one of those, rekindled to a hex totem, it slows progress. And I'm not sure 100% if that stacks with things like the Thanatophobia and stuff like that. That would be a good perk in that sense.
Probably got a stack. But...
So I think overall, this is probably the best perk she has as far as her 3 perks.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing here is, right, there's some perks that change the direction of a game. There are some that just accelerate the direction it's going, right? So for this totem to be a game winner, you got to get 5 totems, and you got to have. So I think is if I break a totem, you light it as with this perk, and then I break it again. I think that totem's now gone, right? So I've taken that totem out of the game. She could only light it once using Pentimento. So
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure on that though. Can she rekindle or he or whoever?
I don't think she. Once you've broken it twice, I think it's out of the game. So
Yeah.
you got to have survivors of a very weird sort, right? So they go through, they cleanse all 5 totems. You then go relight all 5 totems without them realizing you've relit all 5 totems.
Yeah.
And by the way, while you're looking across the map, because you don't have a small game, you got to go find the 5 totems. Oh no, you see the cleansed ones. All right. So you see.
Yeah, you do see. Yeah.
So you now got to run around the map doing that, and hope to God there's still not gen rushing you while you're doing that. So it's like you're only gonna get all 5 relit if you get 5 survivors smart enough to cleanse 5 totems, but dopey enough never to recheck them, and
not run any boons.
And not run any boons, and not get generators done while you're running around relighting all these. Right. So it's like if you win this game with this perk, you are gonna win that game anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Everything they put in, they know good and damn well that the boons just came out. They know this is never going to get to a 5 rekindle totem thing where you control the map with the totems to get all this slowdown. There's no way it's ever going to happen.
Oh, so yeah, that's right. No,
at least with one, because I have gotten to where I've gotten one a few games. At least it does slow gen progression, their main objective, because everything they do seems to give the killer more shit to do, which we'll get into the boons in a second. But anyway, so at least with the first one, that's all I count on when I run this anyway. So I think out of all her perks, I think it's probably the most useful is to get some kind of slow. Of course, that's our job as a killer, is to slow the game down. Survivor, you're trying to speed it up, and that's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah, you're right, though. The second I've got Shadow Step, Circle of Healing, I'm never gonna cleanse all 5 totems.
No, it's just not gonna happen. So then we have Jonah. We'll go over this really quickly because we want to get into the balance and boons and stuff, and then some of the community stuff as well. So Jonah, there's new survivor. Really, you have Overcome, Corrective Action, and Exponential, which is a boon perk. Let me go ahead and say Corrective Action is basically for brand new players. Basically, what it does is you get some tokens and you eat up skill checks that people have missed if you're working on the gym with somebody.
No, it's not for brand new. It's for people swiffing with a brand new player. So they don't have Fangman.
Sure.
They can't run Technician. So I gotta co-op a gen with them, and I gotta hit the skill checks. I gotta hit a few great skill checks to pick up the tokens to block their missed skill checks. So
right. So
again, it's like
you may have a handful of people using this with new people as they teach them in Swifts or something, but this is pretty much pointless, except for, like I said, brand new people. Let's see, Boon Exponential. So this is the new Boon Totem. This is essentially unbreakable. So again, it can stack with the other ones, Circle of Healing and Shadow Step, and now they can all stack. And in this little safe zone, if you have a Boon up, you can pick yourself up just like Unbreakable. So it gives people Unbreakable even if you don't carry the damn perk. So if you're in a Swift now, you can have one person that's the boon person who lights all the boons while the areas everybody working in the middle of the map somewhere, or maybe a great location the killer can't get to easily. Then you have this essentially a safe zone that now stacks with not only healing with free med kits for everybody, but now you can't see scratch marks, barbecue and chili doesn't work, all that good stuff. And now you can also stand up if you need to. So if you're close enough, you could potentially, and I have done this in a game already, crawled over to that area, got up, and then the killer's trying to, that would be an in-game situation most of the time, where he's trying to slug to save something. And if you have time, you could possibly get to that zone. So in and of itself, it could be okay for, I guess, solo queuing if somebody happens to run it, but you have to be near that area to stand up. So in and of itself, it's not really that great. But again, if you stack it, you have this huge safe zone where essentially the killer has no power until he finds it. The big one here that I think is going to replace a lot of exhaustion perks is Overcome. So this is the one where now when you take a hit, you get the speed burst anyway. Now you get 2 extra seconds of speed burst. And all you got to do is hold W key and you are across the fucking map to that, potential boon zone we were talking about, and you are gone. In most cases, unless you're a nurse or a spirit perhaps, maybe a Billy, something like that. You've lost that chase. They've already, that's actually going to help people pip if they're trying to, rank up as far as their grade now as the far fucking rank system. But they're gone. I mean, I've seen the test spot, and you can get almost across the whole map in some maps, and you're out. And by the time the killer catches up, he can't find you. So this is going to be, I don't know, this could be a problem, is what I'm saying, depending on the map, obviously.
I think in an intermediate usage, right? I think that if you can remember to break line of sight around the corner, right? It's like balance landing.
Yep.
If you get balance, let's say you need balance landing for a Rift Challenge, so you keep running around a hill to get the 6 foot drop.
I need a fall of great height while in chase, so I'm going to loop the killer around a hill.
So, I mean, I think that it's still situational because it's not so. Or how about this? Balance landing with a loss of line of sight and a great fall is pretty much a high chance of escaping the chase, because you drop down, you turn someplace, and you get the sprint burst, and by the time the killer drops down and checks the direction that you're in, you might be already gone, right? So I get that. Same thing with this. The killer hits you, you turn around a blind corner, you go into an LNT, and you lose the killer, plus you've got the sprint burst, the extra speed. But I think that, if you get cocky and you literally just run, and the killer can still track you or accurately predict the corner you're going to and run the hypotenuse of your triangle, I mean, it does give you probably another 15 seconds of chase, right? Which is good.
Oh, at least.
Right?
Yeah, there's too many scenarios where, because, I mean, honestly, people don't realize that while looping is looping, and the best runners are good loopers, in most cases, actually, because of the cooldown of a hit, holding W is the best solution, is to create more distance, and now this just adds to it. Well, and even with Nurse, like, I'm a Nurse main, right? So arguably, I think people still believe she's the most powerful killer in the game because she ignores all the rules of the game, essentially. But she's in her exhaustion state, and then by the time you can look up and see, now the person is way over there. You got to charge up a full blink to even catch back up. And potentially, like you said, now they've turned a corner. They've broken line of sight, which is what they should be doing against the Nurse anyway. And if you're smart, you're running into a boon zone. So then you're safe. So I don't know. I'm not saying, I haven't played enough around with it or played against enough people with it yet to, completely say like it's OP or something like that. But I think this could be an issue for sure.
Well, I think also people who love Sprint Burst are going to love this.
Yeah, it would absolutely replace Sprint Burst. I would think I would rather now have this as opposed to Sprint Burst.
Right, and you don't have to 99 it like Sprint Burst and a lot of other things.
Yeah, you go ahead and, you leave a little bit earlier on a gen or something if the killer's approaching, whatever it is, and then you get hit and boom, that's your Sprint Burst, and you're on the other side of the map in a fucking boon zone or in a locker or whatever it is.
I mean, I'm a dead hard balance landing kind of guy. So
God, we're going to talk about dead hard. So for sure.
I mean, sorry, a balance landing head on. Why always do that? Head on. I'm a balance landing head on.
No, I said dead hard earlier because I have major problems with dead hard right now.
Well,
it's complete bullshit, and we'll get into it. So anyway, there's the new Survivor and new Killer and their perks. I'm sure everybody's familiar with this now, but we just wanted to talk about some of the potential issues because, again, I'll try to, as a killer main at heart, even though I do play 50-50 Survivor now pretty much, I always try to look at the side of, the killer side of things, because anybody that thinks that it's just killer is it's balanced in any way, shape, or form, everybody, you're insane. I mean, this has been the problem for years. That's what started the drama between Scott Jund and True Talent, was Swifts versus solo queues, and he's a killer main. He won't, and I totally agree. So we'll get into that stuff in just a minute, because when you log into the game and play killer, if you're already damn uptight about it, there's no point in playing anymore, and that's what's happening to the game actually. So let's get into some balance as far as the second segment, balance Survivor. I think it's heavily balanced for survivors. Now, obviously, I'm not saying it's easy, especially solo queuing, because with MMR broken the way it is, you could be in there with brand new people. You could be a iridescent now, rank 1, whatever, and you're in there with, I don't know, you get thrown in with however they average it out for a killer with brand new people, and you go to second stage on your first hook, or you die on the first hook. There's all kinds of issues, but overall, with this general imbalance, once you start getting up a little bit higher in MMR or whatever, even though that's completely broken, now they've introduced boons, which it's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty ridiculous that you can stack. My whole point against boons is I like the concept of boons. It's another like aspect of the game. Okay, it makes people make choices. Do I cleanse this boon to prevent NOED, for example, or do I bless this boon to give my team a safe zone? But now med kits were by far the most powerful add-on in the game. As far as just taking in things to the trial or finding something in a chest. But now everybody gets a free med kit. You don't have to take it. So there's an extra perk slot essentially for survivors. And when they stack now with Overcome and Shadow Step, now you have no scratch marks. And if you're running, Iron Will, for example, you're gone. You're gone. It's hard for a killer to find you, and they don't have that much time to waste anyway. So I don't think. What do you think? Do you think boons are unfair to killers in general, or just in certain situations? Is it situational? Or should they be able to relight their like they can now with the new perk Penamento? Should they be able to relight a Kindle with their own perks? Like put Ruin back up, for example.
Well, look, I think that if you go by the numbers, they're going to try and make survivors happier, right? Because there's 4 of them. For every 1 killer main, there's 4 survivor mains. Right. In a perfect world, there would be a 4-to-1 ratio all the time. So you're always going to try and keep survivors happy. It's a horror gate-based game. Yeah, the killer is supposed to kill you, but at any level across this game, survivors who are organized and know when to do gens and basically milk every second of a chase and every second of a hook state that they can will beat a kill, because at the highest levels, a 2K is a good day for the killer in tournaments. So,
oh yes, easy.
Now take this down to where we play, which is, of course, we're not fully optimized. We run meme builds sometimes. We stop and do totems. We do a lot of other things because, we don't like NOED. As survivors who play the game normally, no one likes NOED. It feels like that, that we did all this work to get the 5 gens done, and now the killer gets a 1 hit and a 9% speed boost until we can find that totem. So, I get why it feels bad, and I get why.
But that's actually let me say this real quick, though. That's from a killer perspective. And a survivor, actually. That's why I don't mind NOED, because it gives, at least in some aspect, survivors another something to do besides just sit there on gens. So we got to decide as a team, or maybe it's just me and you, and we're the 2 randoms. We got to decide, okay, do we want to go around and, are we running Detective's Hunch? Are we running whatever to find totems and break them? Or are we just going to stick to gens? That at least gives us a choice.
There are 2 schools of thought, and if you're in a Swift with 1 or 2, minimum 1, maybe 2, very, very good loopers, you can kind of take the approach of, if NOED happens, we do a NOED check after the 5th generator, and then we go look for the totem. If you're unsure, or it's kind of, you've got a couple good loopers, maybe 1 really good, but 1 who's maybe not so great, depending on your MMR and who you're playing, whatever. Yeah, then, you want to kind of preventively make sure you start getting totems, or, take out the hard to find totems and leave like the 1 or 2 obvious totems. And if you run by a hill and you see a lit totem after the 5th gen, it's NOED. But, if it's that one inside the temple complex up in the far corner, or sometimes when they hide them in in Ormond, occasionally there's a totem in the upstairs back room by the God palette. on
Yep.
the second floor. Yeah, or Dead Dog, where you can find lots of hidden totems. Fine. If you want to minimize it and just say take out the hard to find totems, leave the easy to find totems for Noed, and just roll the dice on whether or not the killer's got Noed. I think for greedy survivor swifts, and you want to get more points, and you want to you know basically make the killer's life more difficult. Yeah, you might cleanse 5. But no, I mean, like they're always going to try and make the survivors happier, and the net of it is still. I think Tide Time is the guy who says this a lot, and I know he plays a lot, and he's like, look, as good as I am a killer, I cannot stop 3 survivors from doing 5 gens while I chase and hook 1 survivor. 3
No.
survivors rotating and doing nothing but generators, coming in, a smidge, a cock hair before second stage on that first hook. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to stop that. And that runs true for tournaments as well. So it's just not balanced. And as a survivor main, I tell you, no, it's not balanced. It's in our favor. And
easy.
Forgetting that is what makes survivors get saltier than usual.
And that's where the arguments have been coming in, right? Well, no, you just need to get good as a killer, put more map pressure. We're talking about the issue comes down to Swifts versus and communication versus solo queue. We all understand solo queue can be crazy. But we're talking about how most people play with their friends. They want to play with their friends. And believe me, I'm not, this started the drama between Scott Junn and True Talent a couple months back was, True thinks Swifts are overpowered, and they are. Now,
well, there's a reason.
I don't want to take them out of the game.
There's a reason there's no in-game communication for a reason. Devs don't want you communicating in games.
Right.
That's why, of course, Discord, Google voice calls, all this stuff exists to get around that. Or, back in the old days when you're playing video games in the earlier days, you just call the dude, right? Or you have a conference call, I'm getting real old when I say that, but the point is there's intentionally no in-game communication.
Yes.
Technically, if you really want to be technical, I could agree with people who said a communicating Swift is cheating. If you're using outside technology, a Discord call or a Discord voice channel, to communicate all the information real time that the game makes no provision for, I can see why killers are like, dude, that's cheating. I can see it. Or if it's not cheating, it's exploiting a massive advantage, like a stretched res or a high DPS mouse with a blight. It's exploiting a technological advantage. It's in that gray area of it could be cheating, it could be just exploiting an advantage. What do you want?
I agree, and I think what it comes down to is why have they not added a competitive mode or a casual mode? Why not have both in this game? But like you said, it's they're always going to lean towards survivors to bring. I think the player base is about 25 to 30,000 right now. But it's been steadily dropping, I believe. I'm not, it goes up and down, but it's been steadily dropping, even with the new chapters, because killers are going away. There's literally so many videos now you can find on YouTube or whatever from big streamers too. I just saw a guy yesterday, I believe it was Coconuts. I believe it's Coconuts, and he's like, man, it's not. I don't want every single game to be a fucking rank 1 sweat fest. I want to just be able to relax. And when I log on, the most fun I've had recently, right, as killer is going back to these old killers I hadn't played in years, where I've been getting all the adepts and stuff, because now my MMR are, even though they're still fairly high, they're supposed to be separate, but they're not really, from my understanding, from data miners. When I went back and played Trapper again and Billy and all these other killers, I was having a blast because it was balanced. I was new, they were new, and I got some kills. I didn't, whatever, but I had fun, and I was completely relaxed. I wasn't already, pissed off before even gets the match started. But when I play Nurse or Freddy or Spirit or whatever, I already know that I'm probably screwed. So when you go into a game like that where you're sitting down at the end of the day to relax and play, if you log on with that feeling, then something's wrong. And we're not just all crazy. We're not just all like entitled. I'm not, I understand I'm not entitled to win every game. But if you log on feeling that way, knowing that you're about to get hosed because of several things, and one of them being dead hard, we'll talk about in a minute, there's a problem. And you're seeing killers go away, which is why queue times are crazy for survivors. Because people are starting to say, you know what, it's not worth me sitting down here to play a game, and I can't win. Whatever their win condition is. Some people's win condition is a 4K or it's just a pip or whatever it may be. But if you can't even do that, and you just know it's going to be stressful, and then on top of that, you have the bully squad, you have the flashlighters and the teabaggers,
The clicky clickies.
the clicky bastards, and they're
Yeah.
just going to start leaving, and that's what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So-
I would say casual mode is anytime you play me as a survivor, and if my challenge doesn't include killing people, I get my four stacks of barbecue. I got 100% multiplier. After that, it's I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and see, well,
Well-
that's the thing though. For me, and people look, people will say, and like Spook and Jukes, for example, in his videos, he'll say, "This game is not competitive." Yes, it is. It is absolutely a competitive game. Any PvP game is competitive. Now, you can choose on how competitive you want to be. Like you say, you go in to play killer, you get your dailies done or whatever. You're fucking around. Maybe you're just farming the rest of the game. That's fine. But when I go in and I'm logging on as a nurse, I'm trying to. My goal is a 4K every time, but I'm perfectly happy if I pip, because I know if I pip, that I've got at least probably 2 kills, at least maybe probably 3, but I've done enough around with map pressure and
well,
all the different categories and stuff to pip. So that's my win condition. But I don't want it to be the whole time I'm sitting there going, fuck, dead hard, fuck, I hit a goddamn tire, fuck, I blinked to him, all this kind of stuff. So, and I've told you a million times, every time I'll play killer a little bit before we all log on at night and play Survivor and Swift. Survivor, I'm completely relaxed for the most part. Yes, we get pissy. Yes, we have, we make mistakes and we get problems.
no, but look,
But overall, you're just relaxed and having fun playing Survivor. Where killer, you're in here, and I know all the kids are saying sweating your ass off, but that's what you're doing. Essentially, you're so uptight about it.
No, I mean, I think that's what other guys who are playing this game essentially professionally are saying. It takes for them, for the fake MMR,
Yes.
it takes them a long time to get matched, and if they don't, it can be kind of too easy for them. But also, at the highest levels, a very good survivor is, it's like I could chase this very good survivor and he runs me for 2 gens, or I could find the weakest person on the team and get 2 hooks off. And there's a part of the game obviously that's psychological, and like I do this too. Is I'm not going to tunnel you straight out of the game, but if you're the only person I find after I come back to the hook, or if I'm in the area, I'll put you up for 2 right away. And now
Absolutely.
for the rest of the match, you're like, fuck this. This guy's going to tunnel me. I'm doing the farthest gen. I'm the least motivated to go rescue. I want to get healed right away. I'm going to waste time. Because I know as a survivor, if you give up 2 quick hooks, yeah, you're going to play slightly differently, because it's like you got 4 fouls in the first half in a basketball game. You're playing this third quarter differently. You are.
Yep.
So it's the same thing. I mean, playing it that way, where you're just like, look, hey, you don't need to know that I'm not going to tunnel you to death, but giving you 2 hooks to think about, yeah, that changes the way you play the game, and now I can go fuck around with others, especially if I'm trying to get I just want my 4 stacks of barbecue, bro. I just want my 4 stacks of barbecue.
Right.
I mean, like, look, or what you were saying about Pippin, get 9 hooks, and there's your iridescent devout. There's only so much a killer can do, and again, and this is where the stubbornness of killers comes in too. It's like you and I have been in matches, or you've run a killer for 3, 4, 5 generators, and it's like the killer at some point knows that they should leave this guy.
Oh
And you
yeah,
don't.
absolutely.
And you don't. So I mean,
Yeah, you want to
that's
prove you. Yeah, and I got
I'm going to
both
show
sides
this
of that.
motherfucker. I'm going to show this motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm going to catch this bastard, and I'm going to stand there in his fucking face or whatever.
Yeah.
But that also depends on what he's done. Now, if it's somebody who's I've got run for long distances and many times for over the years, and if it's somebody who's just using the game mechanics and they're running, they're good loopers, they know how to go from
Pallets,
tile to
great
tile, they know how to
line.
path, all that good stuff. I'm not going to camp them or face camp them or some bullshit. But if they're dropping pallets and teabagging, and if they're clicking, all that kind of stuff, yeah, expect to be fucking face camp.
Yeah, or you know, you ever seen the one?
And let me just say, I'm sorry, but I've seen a lot of people say that is not it is toxic.
It's annoying.
And I don't mean using the mechanics of the game. I have no problem getting pallets stunned. I eat them all the time. When I play Pallet Freddy, I purposely eat them all the time. I don't mind getting you drop a pallet in my face. Somebody blinds me or whatever, they run away. That's fine. That's the mechanic of the game. I have no problem with those type of things. But when you purposely do it, when you chase me, and you're making my game miserable, that's when I have a problem with it. That is when it crosses the line to griefing. You're abusing the mechanics of the game just to piss me off. And then let me say this: people say, "Well, it's to get in your head." No, it's not. It's not. It's just to get in my head, but it's not because you're competitive and want to win the game. It's because you want to piss me off and make my experience horrible. That's what it is. You don't care about the team winning, because if you did, you just do gens. That's all you have to do to win is do gens. So this idea that, well, it's just a tactic to get in the killer's head, I can see that to some degree on some level, but that's once you go beyond that kind of whatever that line of stand is.
But then be like, hey, too quick. Or how about this? If every time you played, the first hook you got, that person was also the second hook you got, and you're like, I'm getting in your head, bro. Yeah, I'm using it again. I'm getting in your head. Fine.
That's right.
I'm okay with that. But I think that, and this is why I think this is particularly funny. I'm a barely better than average killer, maybe even a lesser than average killer, because I just don't care and I don't play a lot of killer. But I get the drop pallet teabag. I get the clicky. And I tell you what, like, I've gotten 4Ks where two of the guys were clicking the flashlight, and I'm like, I know I'm probably right now I'm in bronze rank as a killer, maybe somewhere in silver rank as a killer. My MMR has matched me with other survivors in silver rank. So it's like, I can tell you, as a consistently red rank survivor, no silver rank survivor should ever be teabagging, clicking, or anything else.
No.
Or like the pointing after you drop the pallet, the pointing, or the other stuff. It's like, dude, seriously, first of all, you're not good enough to do that. Secondly, you're wasting time when you should be doing generators anyway. And third, like, yeah, I mean, this is holding the ball out before you get in the end zone. You remember Leon Lett and Don?
Oh, yes. Yep.
You just start showboating, holding the ball out before you get in the end zone.
But going to your point, what you're saying, and I've seen it too. You've heard me say it on stream. Look, you got to be better than that. If you're going to teabag and flashlight, at least be a good 100%. 100%. They learn it from the community. They learn it from watching these YouTubers and stuff who make it their content, which is fine. Again, I'm not saying this shouldn't happen. Trying to give people a killer's perspective on it. They learn this. They think it's cool. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to fuck with the killer. I'm not going to worry about my objective, which is generators. I'll let the other three do that or whatever it is. Or maybe 2 people or 3 people team up and we're going to bully this motherfucker. That's their goal. Their goal is to see him DC and they all sit there and laugh. And then somebody's got a YouTube video. That's all it's for. And so when you go past the point of game mechanics to where it's now kind of meta and you're trying to get people to disconnect for content or just for your own fucking sense of humor, that's when it's griefing at that point.
Well, see, I would say I agree with you there. The thing is, look, if you throw a game in essence just to bully the killer, and that's for you and your buddies and you're ha-haing about it, whatever, that's silly and kind of lame, but fine, that's your choice on how to play the game against the killer. That's whatever. But when people do it for the entertainment value, it's like, hey, I didn't consent to be the guy fucking made fun of as killer here, dude. You didn't get my consent,
Right.
Like if you wanted to put me on TV on a practical joke show, you got to get my consent to use my likeness. Here,
right.
You know, you
Right.
can run around and do this crap. Now, what I will tell you is, again, in the middle ranks of killing and surviving, I've had people try and bully, and they swarm the hook. And
Yep.
what you do sometimes is you make the assessment. I got to drop this guy that I'm carrying. I can't pick up and then rehook because I won't make it to hook. But what I can do is I can slap two people, or optimal scenario, I hit someone while I'm carrying. They're sticking around. I drop the guy. I knock this guy. I now have two guys slugged. The other fuckface who's running around, if you can get another slap on him quick and you hook the guy who was trying to bully you on that hook you were going to, now you've got a slug, a guy on hook, and one guy injured. And then it's like, so what you fuckfaces have just done is traded 5 hits and a hook for what?
Exactly.
And if you're good about it and you get lucky, they come in and they recover the guy who you knew wasn't going to get to hook anyway. They recover that guy, and then boom, you down him again, and now you've got a free reset on taking a hook. So it's like, I've seen people do exactly what you're saying is, hey, I saw some guy do this. I'm going to try it at home. And it's like,
oh,
dude,
yeah.
like,
Yeah, and believe me.
If you're going to try that, be good first.
Yeah, no, believe me, I love to see it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, like, with all this stuff I'm bitching about anyway, I'm not saying, look, I'm a firm believer at the same time and play how you want to play, but just understand perspectives of people. But even with that said, as a killer, I still try not to camp and tunnel. I really avoid it, even when it's near end game, unless the 5th gen's popped or whatever. You know,
no, 5th gen's done. That's all.
Yeah, everything's free, free game.
No rules.
And
no rules at that point.
But that also depends on the scenario. If I have only got a couple hooks and I haven't even got one kill yet, then I'm probably not. I'm just going to go open the door, essentially concede. But these are the same people though that will, if you actually did, actually by definition tunnel or camp or proxy camp or whatever, they would be in there bitching and moaning. Or if you use NoEd, for example, they're the ones in the in-game chat. Oh, you can only rely on NoEd, which I don't use NoEd. But I've seen enough, streamers and videos over the years. They're the same people, whining. You can only win by tunneling, camper, blah blah blah, and they talking shit. They'll go to the killers if they're on the console. They'll look them up and go send them messages. The same people that expect to, and that's why they call it entitlement, because they're entitled to their play style, but a killer's not entitled to theirs, and they have to play by some unwritten survivor playbook. And I'm air quoting there.
You go through as a survivor main. If you come through as a survivor main and you don't start playing killer till later on, I think you go through phases of anger levels, right? First time I was ever camped, like, yeah, man, I was raging about that. I was like, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. And
you go through it, you learn that, look, it sucks for the person on hook, but camping is actually disastrous for the killer. Especially
in most cases, yep.
Especially
but
when,
it is a strategy. It is a strategy.
No.
And
hey, look, again, like a basement Bubba and a Sidious Bubba, there are also things that I would tell people who have 1,500 plus hours in the game. It's like, hey, NoEd's going to happen. If you get squad wiped by NoEd did what it was supposed to do. Also, you've got, usually with NoEd, 1 or 2 people can get out, because the second someone goes down with NoEd, you're like, I can be a selfish survivor. Fuck it. I'm opening the door and leaving. And you see that solo queue all the time. And you're the guy on the hook, and you're like, you pussy, come back.
Yeah, NoEd is not as powerful as people make it out to be when people, blame killers for running it. I don't run it because I have a standard and a win condition for myself, and because obviously the devs have never set one. But NoEd is not as powerful as people think. But yeah, you see, like, we're playing, we're Swiffing or whatever, whether it's just me and you, or we have a full pre-made. Somebody goes down the end of the game. Well, we're all looking for the totem. It's not that hard to counter. So,
or also someone says, look, if you can't find NoEd, you just go. I don't want to give the killer extra kills. And that's the thing also. You make choices as a survivor to get around NoEd and to deal with it. It's like, I don't think I get mad at NoEd at all. I mean, if anything, I get more enjoyment breaking NoEd when you find it. Well, it's also 1,500 blood points, but you know, you
Right.
can
I
look
mean, and it goes, and
again
again, it
just
goes
getting
back
going.
to, okay, are we do we have a high ranked killer here who's probably not using it, or maybe they are, because you know, I think it's a good mix of people that use it, but it gives us as survivors another aspect of the game as opposed to just M1 in the whole time sitting on a gen. We got to think about that. You know, okay, we're getting close to the
Yeah.
end game now. Should we start cleansing totems, whatever? So I think that's actually a good thing in the aspect of
Well,
another.
I think it makes you much better as a survivor because there's more pressure.
Yeah, yeah.
There's, you know, especially if someone opens the gate prematurely or they get chased out, they open the gate and go. Now you got a timer. You literally actually have a timer. You got to find Noed. You got to make these decisions. So, you know, you got to decide, hey, all right, I'll trade. Fuck it. I can do this with BT. I can definitely trade.
Right.
And, you know, again, these are the things that actually, in those pressure situations, make you much better for the rest of the game. And
Yeah,
also,
and to
it's
make the
like,
game, I think, more interesting. But speaking of, we're talking about NOED. My problem right now, at least, as far as what I consider to be, you know, because they'll say NOED's your second chance perk. Okay, let's talk about Dead Hard for a minute, please.
do you know how many survive? Well, I know you're going to go right there, but decisive strike is a second chance.
Oh yeah, well, right, exactly.
I mean,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you have these people. Well, you can't do it without NOED. Well, you're running decisive. You're running Dead Hard and borrowed time. What are you talking about?
yeah,
What are you talking about?
dude, BTDS is part of.
So yeah, exactly. The meta. But what I have a problem with right now, my biggest problem with this game, and I think this one change or some change to it, whatever whatever is determined that could be, is Dead Hard. And I'm telling you right now, as a nurse main, it is it's horrible because right now with this, especially with this update, before you at least knew what to expect, with this new update where you have the hit confirmation. You get the scream, you get the start of the animation where they fall. It's absolutely ridiculous because now it's not only just a distance, it's an invincibility perk and it's a distance perk. It should not be both. And it's actually a third chance perk. Your first chance is when, in typical scenario, you're sitting on a generator, you hear the terror radius, you start walking away when you know they're approaching you or you see them or whatever because it's getting faster. That's your first chase, right? Then you get into a chase. That's your first chance to get away. Okay, boom, you get hit. You don't get away, you get hit. Boom, you got another chance because you do get 2 hits for a down. And then you get away, and then you remain in the chase, I should say. And so there's your second chance because you took a hit and you didn't fall or you didn't die. Then Dead Hard now adds, I mean, it always has in some sense, it adds a third chance because you can essentially take another shot. And on top of that, you can use it to still get to a pallet or a vault or whatever it may be. So, and then this weird broken thing where you get the notification. Like, I didn't need to know that before. I can see the Dead Hard. It can literally lose the entire game because you chase an average, let's say you're chasing 30 seconds, right? I don't know. And then you get a hit, you chase another 30 seconds. Then you're right there at them, and boom, they found another pallet or a window vault, whatever it may be, and they know to Dead Hard to that, which, so they could drop the pallet, they're safe, and now you have another potential 30 seconds or whatever, or a minute or whatever it may end up being for chase. So right now, as a killer, it's the most frustrating thing is Dead Hard because, yes, I'm not saying every single case, and I'm not saying get rid of it, but which is it? Is it a distance perk or is it invincibility? Because as a nurse main, the worst thing in the world is having this perfect pinpoint blink where you have blinked twice. You set your blink up with the first one, your second one's for the hit, and you could do this great little flick blink and hit them. And then you're looking around. The first time it happened, I was on stream. It was the first time I thought somebody was cheating that I was going to report them. I'm looking around the ground to pick them up, and they're gone. Because the animation actually started where they fail. Now, I know they've fixed that to some degree, but it still does affect other killers. For example, if you play Blight, they say, well, it don't go through the wipe animations for the hit, but he still injects the thing. So it does actually affect some killers' powers. We won't go through all those. But Dead Hard, to me, is the biggest problem in the game because not only what I just said about being a third chance perk, free hits, and then another free extension to a chase in some way. And this is also the perk that you'll notice all the quote-unquote toxic people run, all the high-end, high-level survivors because it gives them the ability to do all the clicking and the teabagging because they know they have another hit. You see what I'm saying? So in a lot of different ways, Dead Hard is completely broken, and I think it's complete bullshit. I'll give you an example. I was watching Dead Girl Jimmy, another YouTuber, Twitch streamer. I know maybe she just streams on YouTube, but she has videos where she's known to be very toxic and whatever, and seems to be a nice person. So I like her videos and stuff, but she's very toxic as far as the clicks and the teabagging and all that kind of stuff. But when she doesn't run Dead Hard, she can't do that stuff. You see what I'm saying? So it also not only do you have the benefits of the perk itself and being invincibility. Now you can turn with it, by the way. You don't have to just go straight line into a tree. Not only do you have all those benefits, it actually encourages, in a lot of ways, that type of behavior, which people consider to be BM or bad manners, right? Anyway, that's my little mini rant on Dead Hard. I'm not saying to remove it. I'm saying I have the exactly the right answer for it, if any. I'm just saying, to me, that's the biggest problem in the game as far as from a killer perspective. Do I run an occasional survivor? Sure. But for the most part, I stick to sprint burst because I'd rather get my distance before the chase starts. Anyway, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I use Dead Hard a lot of time to get to that first gen. That's when I want to use mine. Well,
yes, exactly.
You get hit early on, boom, Dead Hard to a gen.
I do love Spooks when he's trolling people and he Dead Hards to the gen. Or like he just walks away and Dead Hards. Those are hilarious. But no, I mean, for real though, I'm telling you, man, if you look at when you're talking about the toxicity, and again, I'm just got to repeat myself. I'm for anybody playing how they want. I really am. But just saying, from the perspective of a killer, these people don't do half of the stuff they do or get that chase that long without Dead Hard.
No, I look, as an exhaustion perk runner. I mean, as a less frequent exhaustion perk runner, right? I mean, because I'll do small game. I'll do something map related. I'll do something kind of secondary objective related, as opposed to Dead Hard. I mean, I started out playing with people like yourself and other people who were more seasoned. Ergo, I wasn't relied on to run the killer. That was not my job. I was more of a gen jockey, and I was fine with that. So, as a less frequent user of Dead Hard, for sure, and as a guy who, I mean, Dead Hard was broken for a while too. It was just crappy. And then they patched it and it went a little bit too far, whatever. But there's always been a kind of a back and forth with Dead Hard. When I first started playing a year ago or so, and Dead Hard was, the invincibility thing and a pretty decent little, 3-second burst of invincibility, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't get the timing right. And they kept changing stuff around, so I never got attached to it in the same way that, like, BT and DS are things that I feel always help the team in a swift sense. See, that was the other thing too. Dead Hard helps me, I guess, but I wasn't good enough of a looper where Dead Hard for me was helping me help the team. BT,
right,
DS, maybe even Prove Thyself, Resilience, whatever. These are things that help me help the team as more of a gen-focused early survivor. So I never ever really ran it. I never got used to it. I still don't run it 95% of the time because I don't practice with it enough. And, I mean, on enough maps, there's altitude change, and balanced landing is, in that sense, a passive. Dead Hard, you have to work on the timing. It's another thing for me as a survivor to have to learn how to do, look, not saying I won't learn it and not saying I won't learn how to moonwalk and all this other stuff, but, there's the thinking part of the Swift and the strategy and all the other stuff. And then there's some of the just biomechanics of hand-eye coordination, which, all right, as an older guy later to the game, wasn't where I was going to make my greatest impact. So I never really got into Dead Hard the way some people are loyally into Dead Hard.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see how, like, if you can 99 sprint burst, which is another thing that people who like to do the showboating, let's call it, right?
Yeah.
The showboating, those are people who 99 sprint burst in the same situation. Run a med kit, 99 sprint burst, get you that mid chase burst that a killer probably isn't expecting. Like as a killer, you start a chase, Feng Min zooms across the map. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Or Meg zips across the map. I'm like, okay, great. I know what I got to do. Great. I just got to. Hopefully, they do something stupid like make a turn, and I can go for the cutoff. Right. That's against the shitty survivors I play because I'm a shitty killer. Like I said, right. The cutoff is huge, and that's why determining as a survivor, I will tell you honestly, immediately determining whether it's a W cutoff killer or a mind games backtrack killer is the most important thing to know right away. Because if it's a W cutoff killer, the double back is going to work more often than not. And even when the double back doesn't work, you're putting the killer who's a W straight line killer at a disadvantage because they don't know how to double back at the right LNT, at the right whatever. So you get into that, and then you get into the advanced mind games against actual good killers where you have to, and I would always say, look, I can admire the people who don't throw pallets and loop just using windows, vaults, and LNTs or shack. Because here, maybe Dead Hard helps you out somewhere in there to get you that next window. But if you can loop the killer based solely upon windows, vaults, and turning corners, then I would say, all right, you want to have a little flair at some point? Sure, okay. But there's also another thing, too, is that what I do is, especially at shack, take a second or a half second while you're looking back at the killer who just came into the shack. Watch them. Look for their red stain. Are they moonwalking out, or are they actually coming to the window to vault the window out because they have bamboozle or others? So it's like, yeah, I get it that maybe there's a half second where you're still, in theory, checking on which direction the killer's going, but I don't teabag because you don't get points for it.
Right.
And also, I'm again, like I've told you, it's like I'm not a hold the football out before you get to the end zone kind of guy.
Yeah, that's kind of my point though about Dead Hard is you have all these. You have the killer's job is simple. It's to kill you. It's to catch you, and you have 2 hits to go down anyway before you get hooked, and you have 2 hook stakes before you die. So with all the, like you said, you're talking about the tiles, you got the jungle gyms and the LNT walls and the shack and all that. That's all there. But then on top of that, you also get a free hit, and you see these people stacking syringes in their med kits, which gives them that status effect as well. They can take another hit. So the idea is, for me anyway, again, from the killer perspective, because believe me, I love Dead Hard occasionally as a survivor, because it will get you to that next thing. But the point is with all that, you can stack this up. It really just, I think it's almost overboard for survivors who are good loopers anyway. Which, if you're going to become a survivor, at some point you got to become some kind of decent runner, especially if you're solo queuing. Whereas, like you said, you might have a role to play in a Swift or something, and you're more of a role player, and you're rotating off gens and whatever, and essentially rotating chases. But again, it's insane right now. It seems to be where it should be a distance perk or an invincibility perk, but it can't be both. I mean, I guess it can, in the sense of that's what gives you the invincibility, is this quick little lunge forward. And again, I'm not saying you can't counter it in certain ways. You can, but it all depends on the map. That depends on positioning, the situation. But too many times it's a third chance perk to me. I would really like to see. I'd be curious to take it out of the game for a week and go back to before David King came in the game and see how things changed balance wise. Just out of curiosity. I'm not saying take it out. I'm saying right now it's broken, and this hit confirmation is just kind of nonsense. I'd rather not hear the scream and then get a pallet dropped on my head than hear a scream and think I've hit her, and now I'm breaking a pallet and picking somebody up and they're gone. So, well,
I mean, I think that's also like the biggest crucible for telling whether or not something throws things out of balance is what they do in tournaments. And in tournaments, a lot of tournaments limit the amount of perks.
Yeah, they can't. Exactly.
You can't have 4 Dead Hards.
No.
You can't have 4
and
flashlights.
That shows you right there.
It tells you right there. You look at those rules and you say, like, look, the best of the best who know how to milk every second of generator progression out of a killer are only allowed to bring one of these. So
Yeah,
know that
exactly.
by definition, that there's something that alters the game. I mean, it's like it tournament. Or how about this? I'd love to see loopers like a Korean Swift team running 4 dead hards with 4 flashlights with pick your favorite other 3 perks and have them running around the killer, and you'd have a game that lasts. What is the minimum amount of time that you can get 5 gens done if 3 people are always on a generator? Maybe it's round about 3 minutes and 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You would have a
exactly.
3 minute 30 second match, and
You
that's not
would.
because and they know that inherently the game is way too far in favor of the survivors as it is, and even with these limitations, killers struggle to get 2 hooks.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
every killer runs no head in a tournament.
Right, right. Because that may get you that one kill that you didn't get camping the hook,
Exactly.
because that's
Oh, and
allowed. It's
killers routinely camp and tunnel in tournaments.
Yeah, it's completely normal. It's expected there. They know that, and like you
because
said,
they
just
know it's
if you have to go into a tournament and change the rules of the actual game where you cannot bring in but so many borrowed time, so many dead hards, etc. That's telling right there as far as the regular casual players how imbalanced it is, and on top of that, being an exhaustion perk, if you're a good enough looper runner anyway, not only can you use dead hard, but you can use it again in the same chase if you are able to walk around enough or stand still. And because you know how a lot of times it is, you'll get behind, you'll go, let's say you vault a T wall or something, and then you're standing in the corner waiting to see which ways you double back. You're getting that exhaustion back, and then it can be used again where it used to be. Now, maybe somebody in the comments and on YouTube correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe back in the day you got it once per injury. It wasn't an exhaustion where it would come back. So that's another thing. So anyway, that's just my little rant on Dead Hard. It's the worst because as a nurse main, I can draw it out and counter it occasionally. And again, that depends heavily on RNG and the map and stuff as well. But overall, it basically punishes me for doing something like a really good accurate blink where I did the right thing. They made a mistake. I capitalized on it, and I don't get the reward for it. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
I'll stop being a precision skilled killer and move back to a classic
yeah,
M1 killer like the clown. I gotta tell you, as the clown,
yeah.
I am not as upset by Dead Hard as you are.
Well, right. No, I get
because 90% of the time I wait out the swing on Dead Hard anyway.
Yeah.
Times when I swing and I have Dead Hard, I catch up again in 4 seconds. I don't lose. I don't have the exhaustion phase where I look down. I have line of sight on them. I see where they're going, and you can cut off or double back. But us M1 clown mains, we don't have the problems that you fancy nurse mains have.
Well, I mean that's the thing though, right? So you play an M1 killer, you miss a dead hard, you don't have the cool, I guess you have the cooldown, but like you said, it's another 3 or 4 seconds depending on where you're at. But if they're right there at that shack pallet or getting to a pallet, that's restarting the whole chase. The whole chase.
Yeah.
You got at least another 10, 20, 30 seconds or more.
Well, I got to break the pallet if they throw the pallet.
Exactly. All that. Now, a nurse, still you got to go through your fatigue and all that stuff. And again, now you've lost line of sight. You got to set everything up again. You got to find the scratch marks, unless there's a boon totem right there. What I'm saying is all this ability to stack all this stuff up. And on top of that, I was in a game the other day, hit, chase, dead hard. So I got the hit confirmation, you know what I mean? Then start the chase back up. Then they popped a fucking syringe. Then they could get
Jesus.
And then they popped the syringe. So then I hit them again, and they still don't go down. It's just like borrowed time. They get the
endurance status effect.
Thank you. Endurance again. And then it's like, what? So I got to hit him 4 times now. Then I got to carry him to a fucking hook. So all in that by that time, 3 gens are gone, and the game is essentially over. So Dead Hard would literally lose games for you as a killer on the killer side, and it allows them to continue doing more of the other toxic stuff as well. Anyway,
you gotta look. So you have to have better initial survivor selection figure out who the shitty survivors are and target them.
Oh no, yeah, that's easier said than done though, because that is certainly a thing. You know, you find a weak link, and you'll come across them, and you'll know them when you see them. But again, unless you're running, even if you're running like say Lethal Pursuer, which gives you the 9 seconds, but it's completely worthless after that. Are you going to the right one? It's not as easy as it sounds. You have to come across that survivor to know, and then you can tell who the weak link is, and that's certainly an option if you can find them. But anyway, enough of that. We were just wanting to go. I wanted to just do the little mini Dead Hard rant. I haven't come to a conclusion on it. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm just getting my perspective from more recently. Yes, I can either decide I can wait it out occasionally, and I'm not saying it's every single time or it's OP or whatever. Maybe I decide to leave the chase. Maybe they come across, maybe they kind of unintentionally sandbag a teammate, and I hear a generator nearby, and I jump off them to interrupt the generator. All that good stuff as well. So there's things could be done, but I would really like to see a little test. I mean, I know it's not going to happen. Take Dead Hard out for a week, and let's see how things change.